Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. I think I'm a little underlit here, looking like maybe a Frankenstein monster. Um, Maybe this is a good Frankenstein theme, or a subject, I should say. Talk about the mask mandate and states' rights. Maybe more about states' rights than the actual mask mandate, but I think it was last Saturday, maybe Friday. Um, I don't know if it was State of the Union address because I only heard the mask mandate excerpt, and maybe that's all it was. But Joe Biden, President Biden, has issued a mandate. And most businesses, if you have 100 more people in your business, you can suffer a fine if you don't require vaccination. But I guess it's more really a vaccination mandate than a mask mandate. I think mask mandate just sounds good because it has an alliterative quality to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, still a quarter of this country is not vaccinated, and I understand if you have reservations, but I also don't understand not looking at the numbers, not looking at the problems, and not wanting to be part of the solution. Maybe that kind of threads into uh, what I see as a selfishness on part of certain states. Florida came out literally. Governor DeSantis of Florida came out right after, like the next day, and just said it is against Florida law for us to impose fines upon people who have And this is once again, this is where states' rights, do they supersede the Constitution of the United States, or the not that this is a constitutional authority that President Biden is trying to enforce, but as we're seeing in Texas right now, that is a constitutional problem, right? You have a you have a state mandate saying that people can't get abortions if there's a fetal heartbeat detected, or if it's been 6 weeks since conception, which is literally insane. A lot of women don't even know if they are pregnant after within 6 weeks, or after 6 weeks of conception. So this is a problem. It's a big problem. I remember this happened during the Elian Gonzalez debacle of, I think it was right around 2000. Maybe it was a couple years after that. I thought it was pre 9/11. It was early George Bush. I know that. Maybe it was after 9/11. But when Elian Gonzalez was a Cuban national who came over on a raft, I believe he came over with his mother, or came over to. I can't remember the exact situation, but basically it came to, hey, do his relatives in Cuba have more rights to him, or do his relatives in the United States have more rights to him? And a big part of it became, hey, whose constitution is he covered by? And then it became Florida saying, well, he the Constitution of the United States cannot supersede the Constitution of Florida, which has differences, and we want to take this kid in. However, does the state constitution supersede the United States Constitution? I don't think it should. And this is where you get into the debate of Republicans versus Democrats. And it comes down to the Electoral College eventually, where you say, is this a country where we want to support one man, one vote? Or are we a consortium of states, which supports the Electoral College? And you hear the quote constitutional republic a lot. So yeah, you can make the argument that we are a constitutional republic. The only problem with that argument is pretty easy to defeat, because you say, okay, the Electoral College only is used in one election, the most important election in this country. Every other election in this country is decided one man, one vote, one person, one vote. So why is the most important one left to this quirky system where you can have less votes than the other guy and somehow win? It's messed up, especially a country that really prides itself on selling itself as a democratic nation, as the freest of all nations. I mean, two of the last three Republican presidential victories have been because of the Electoral College. In 2000, Bush had 600,000 less votes than Gore, and so the Florida debacle should never have mattered. And of course, in 2016, Trump had 3 million votes less than Hillary Clinton, and we saw what the 4 years after that was like. So I don't know. So maybe we need to rethink the electoral. I've been against it for as long as I can remember because it's not truly representative government, and your president should be very representative of the entire country, not a consortium of states where you play the Chinese puzzle and, oh, if we get these notes, these numbers, Wisconsin has this many electoral votes, California has, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It should be the people of this country made a decision, and we're going to go with that decision because he rules the whole country. He doesn't rule state by state. It is a problem. I've seen it here too. I'm not going to say, here's the problem I really have though. The red states, which tend to scream freedom the loudest, the Republican-run states, like Florida, like Texas, the only real right they seem to care about when it comes to freedom is gun rights. Because otherwise, like when it comes to people rights, like freedom of assembly, freedom of reproductive choice, freedom of, what's the other one? There's a big one out there. Oh, voting rights freedoms. The red states are rolling those bad boys back, and that's not freedom. No, if you don't have the freedom to express yourself, to vote the way you want, or reproductive choice, then that's not real freedom. If the only freedom you care about is your right to carry guns or use guns, it's not real freedom. Those guns are worth nothing if they're not protecting other freedoms that matter. So, and that was proven also in the last 4 years with the people who actually got out the guns and said, oh, you'll want us around when that tyrant comes. Well, that tyrant came and you took his side. So anyway, I've said a lot of this in the past, but it is an interesting thing. And like I was going to also say, hey, it doesn't always work out on the blue side either, right? Although I will say, when I usually see amendments to state constitutions on the blue side, it's tends to open up more freedoms. Like here in Colorado, back in 2012, we legalized weed. I'm also willing to say, and I've said this in the past, that I'm not the biggest fan of it right now because a lot of people aren't handling the right with the responsibility that goes with that right. And that's becoming an American thing anyway. Just in terms of this is where I like. Sorry to go on an anti-capitalism bent, but it is kind of that. This is a symptom of doing everything for the almighty dollar, and it tends to make your country, I think, morally bankrupt. I'm actually, part of the reason I thought of this was I'm watching a show right now, and I might do a whole 10-minute video on it if I can, but it's called, oh geez, I already forgot the title of it. It's a Netflix show, but it's about this team, the hockey team from Danbury, Connecticut, and it's a real interesting story where this guy, he's a mob guy. He ran the trash business in Danbury, Connecticut. He kidnapped people. He burned up the competition's trucks sometimes, and then he ended up owning the local hockey team, the UHL affiliate, and the next level after that is NHL. And they called themselves the Danbury Trashers. That was back in the early 2000s. It's a pretty interesting story. I've only gotten halfway through it, but yeah, sorry, I digressed on that one a little bit. But it does make you show. It does show once again how money just controls way too much of our actions in this country. I still think more people than not are probably not that greedy, but I've seen the worst of it sometimes. Just people will do horrible things to each other, friends and strangers, just in the name of money and items, and status, and it's sad. But yeah, so I don't know. This is when I see states' rights though, and the people that are for it hardcore, the Republican platform, it's really not going well in those states. If you're really a freedom lover, why are you rolling back actual freedoms outside of gun rights? Why don't I have the right to kill myself? A lot of people are probably thinking, I wish you would. But I really don't understand why that's a problem. I understand suicide is a problem because you jump off a bridge and you land on somebody and kill them. Well, that's not right, but most people that do suicide don't do it that way. Not trying to kill anybody else, not trying to make even a dramatic statement most of the time. If I am terminally ill in this land of the free, why can't I off myself? If I don't want to go through the pain, how does any other person on this planet have any right to tell me how to go about dying if I feel like shit and say, no, you gotta fight it out? No, I don't. Who are you to tell me that? So I know it's kind of going on some tangents. Love to hear your comments. Love to hear suggestions for other videos. Thanks a lot, you guys, and I'm up to my 10 minutes. See you next time. Bye.